I never thought my own daughter, my own flesh and blood, would scream in my face like I was a stranger. "You'll never see a cent of my money, you old witch." The door to her brand new mansion slammed shut, the sound echoing in the manicured silence of the neighborhood. My worn duffel bag, still carrying the tag from the cross-country bus trip I'd taken to see her, landed at my feet with a dull thud. As if to underscore the humiliation, the sky opened up and a cold rain began to fall. I just stood there on the designer cobblestone path of her garden, soaked to the bone, my spirit more shattered than the broken umbrella I still clutched in my hand. I didn't answer her. What was the point? I knew any word from my mouth would be twisted into another excuse for her to spit venom. I'd watched her transform, a slow and painful metamorphosis from the sweet daughter who used to bring me coffee during my night shifts at the diner into this cold woman, obsessed with luxury and status. But I never believed it would come to this. Casting me out like I was a plague, a burden. Just a week before, I was still cooking for her children, cleaning the house while she bounced between fleeting business ideas, dreaming of her own cosmetics line. I covered half the bills, even though my knees ached constantly, a souvenir from 30 years of standing on my feet. But I did it gladly because she had said 1,000 times, "Mom, if we ever win the lottery, the first thing I'm doing is buying you a house on a lake." The lottery. What a bitter irony. That ticket was my purchase, bought on a whim one afternoon after picking up milk and bread. I stuck it to the refrigerator with a cheap magnet from a tourist shop. I even laughed to myself, wondering what it would be like if this one little piece of paper changed our lives. She saw it. She saw me put it there. She never said a word. Days later, she appeared, screaming and jumping with excitement. "We won, Mom. $10 million. Then, she was gone. That very night. No note, no call. I found out from my neighbor, Mrs. Gable, who saw her loading a U-Haul at 5 in the morning. What's worse, she began to flaunt it everywhere. Social media, parties, even local news interviews. She claimed she had finally liberated herself from those who held her back. And there I was, seeing her posts where she called me a parasite, a leech, a pathetic old hag. What choice did I have? To keep my head down as I always had, or to finally stand up? I went back to the convenience store where I bought the ticket. The cashier, a young man who always greeted me kindly, recognized me instantly. He showed me the security footage. There I was, in my old gray coat, paying in cash. I called the lottery commission. They opened an investigation, freezing the prize payout. I didn't tell her anything. Not a single word. She kept celebrating, buying designer watches, and even getting liposuction, all on credit against her future winnings. Meanwhile, I was collecting evidence with a quiet, efficient lawyer. Not for revenge, not yet anyway, but for justice. Because I was done letting anyone trample on my dignity, not even my own daughter. And that night, standing in the rain outside her mansion, I understood something. The most painful betrayal isn't from an enemy, it's the one that comes disguised as love. But I also understood something else, something she had carelessly overlooked in her rush to stardom. She never checked the name printed on the winning ticket. And that, my dear, was her first and most critical mistake. A week before she threw me out like old furniture, we were still living together. I cooked for her kids, made their school lunches, and even woke her up with coffee when she had a job interview. She would sleep late, complain about traffic, and spend hours planning her personal brand. Every week brought a new obsession: artisanal soaps, life coaching, makeup tutorials. Nothing ever lasted more than a month, but I supported her through it all. Because I'm her mother, and mothers, at least those from my generation, we don't know how to give up. The house wasn't large, but it was filled with our history. We bought it together after my husband passed away. I had worked for nearly 30 years at a local bakery, waking up at 4 a.m., kneading dough with bare hands in the winter. With that money, I paid the initial half. The rest was a loan in my name. But out of love, or perhaps naivety, the house was registered in her name. That way, Mom, she'd said, if anything ever happens to me, You won't have to worry about paperwork." If only I had known. I still remember the night I bought that ticket. It was a silly, impulsive thing. I was in line to pay for milk, and the man in front of me took the last carton. I felt so frustrated, yes, over a simple carton of milk, that I bought the lottery ticket on a whim. "Let's see if I get lucky for once in my life," I murmured, half laughing at myself. I stuck it to the refrigerator with that crooked souvenir magnet, as if making a pact with the universe. She saw it. She was right there when I put it up. And that night, without a word, it vanished. I didn't notice at first. I never check the numbers. For me, those games are like tossing a coin into a wishing well. But then I saw the news on television, an anonymous winner of the $10 million jackpot in our city. In that very instant, something made me turn toward the refrigerator. The ticket was gone. I said nothing. I sat down, sipped my chamomile tea like I did every night, and stared at the blinking light of the microwave. The next morning, she woke up with a smile that was far too wide and announced she was heading out early. She returned that afternoon as if she owned the world. "Mom, our luck has changed our lives," she said. But the plural, "our," soon disappeared from her vocabulary. She spoke of buying, of traveling, of moving, but she never once said, "Are you coming with me?" That same night, she began to pack in secret. A few days later, she wasn't sleeping at home anymore. Then a taxi pulled up with a woman in a white uniform, a nanny for the children. She didn't even have to ask. I understood without words. I was being replaced. And even though it hurt, I held my silence. Because sometimes, silence isn't weakness. It's waiting. It's observing. While she was preening on social media in new dresses, I was collecting clues, piecing together loose ends. I knew something wasn't right, that this luck wasn't entirely hers. Deep down, I knew that ticket was mine. But more than the money, something else pained me, watching her become someone I no longer recognized. What other option did I have? Beg her? No. I would wait. And when the truth came out, there would be no need for shouting. All I would have to do is show them the name on the ticket and watch her world come crashing down. I remember the day with a clarity that chills my blood. I had gone to the supermarket for flour, butter, and a small box of mint tea. It was a Thursday, my day for baking cakes. I liked to have something sweet for the children when they came home from school, even if they no longer bothered to thank me. While waiting in line at the checkout, I saw the lottery sign, taped crookedly to the plexiglass barrier, almost forgotten. And there it was, the jackpot total in bold black numbers, 10 million. What if this time, I thought? I didn't even plan it. I bought it on impulse, one of those foolish things you do just because. I folded it into 4, tucked it into the paper bag with the bread, and went home. When I arrived, I stuck it to the refrigerator with a magnet. I laughed to myself. If we win, I'll buy a house by the sea and wake up at 10 a.m. every day, I said aloud, not because I believed it, but because it had been years since anyone had taken the time to dream with me. My daughter was on the sofa, a green mask on her face, her phone in her hand. She didn't look at me. She didn't say a word. But as I passed her on my way to the kitchen, I noticed a glint in her eyes, as if she had heard more than she let on. That night, when everyone was asleep, I went to get a glass of water. I glanced at the refrigerator out of habit and noticed it. The magnet was still there, but the ticket was gone. I stood motionless. I checked the floor, inside the trash can, under the other magnets. Nothing. I didn't say a word. I didn't accuse her. I just went in my room, turned off the light, and said a long prayer. Not for us to win, but for her to still have a piece of her soul left to share if we had. But she didn't. The official announcement came 2 days later. Someone from our city had won. And that very same day, my daughter dressed up like never before, red lipstick, high heels, expensive perfume. "I'm just running some errands," she said, winking at me. She didn't come home to sleep that night. She didn't have to tell me. I already knew. I had seen that look on her face too many times before, the look she gets when she obtains what she wants and has no intention of sharing. After that, the parade of boxes began. First hers, then the children's things, then the nanny arrived. And I just stood there, watching as my daughter built her dream castle using a key that didn't belong to her. And not a single word of gratitude. Only silence, or worse, indifference. I could have confronted her right then and there. But no. Sometimes, time is a sharper weapon than the tongue. And my friend, I was already sharpening mine. Because that ticket had my name on it, even if she didn't know it yet. The morning I discovered she was truly gone, the house was too quiet. The sound of cartoons on the television was gone, as were the shouts of the children fighting over cereal. There was only the low hum of the refrigerator and a hollow ache in my stomach. My neighbor, Mrs. Gable, was the one who told me. I saw a moving truck this morning around 5. A white truck, no logos. She left without looking back. 5 in the morning. She didn't even say goodbye. I sat in my rocking chair, still in my bathrobe, my hair half pinned up. I kept my hands busy with my knitting, something I did when I felt weaker than I wanted to admit. But this time, the needles trembled in my fingers. I went to the kitchen, checked the magnets again. Nothing. I stared at the empty space where the ticket used to be. It was as if by taking it, she had also torn out a part of me. My daughter no longer lived here. She had moved out but left no address, no note, no message. She only took the children and the ticket. That was her grand departure. That night, I made myself a light soup. I had trouble swallowing. I tried to sleep early, but at 3 a.m., I woke up with an idea as sharp as a flash of lightning. She never told me she bought a ticket. She never mentioned it. And why would she if the ticket was mine? The only one that had been in that house. I turned on the table lamp and started rummaging through the grocery bags where I used to keep receipts and reminders. I wanted to see if, by some chance, I had saved the serial number. I didn't find it, but I found something else. The receipt from the day I bought it. Same day, same time, same register number. That was the push I needed. The next day, I went to the convenience store where I'd bought it. The young man at the counter recognized me. "Mrs. Vance, you're the one who always buys the ginger tea and a lottery ticket, right?" he said. I nodded, a smile not quite reaching my eyes. "Do you remember if I bought one about 2 weeks ago on a Thursday afternoon?" He blinked, thinking. "That rainy day?" "Yes, you were the last one in line. You even complained because you were short on change." I felt a relief so profound I thought I might cry. "Do you have cameras?" I asked. "Could you check if the recording still exists?" He promised to look into it, took my number, and said the manager would call me. I didn't sleep that night, but not from sadness. For the first time in weeks, I felt something different. Clarity. I was no longer the abandoned mother or the invisible woman. I was a woman on a warpath. And this time, the battlefield was the truth. Because I didn't need to beg her for anything. I just needed to prove what I always knew. That ticket had my name on it, even if she had hidden it beneath her freshly painted nails. I went back to the refrigerator, even though I knew it wouldn't be there. Sometimes, a part of me still hoped to find it hidden under an old recipe or behind the children's drawings. But no, the space remained empty, as if she had taken my illusions, my trust, my years of devotion along with it. I ran my hand over the cold metal door, the chill bringing me back to reality. That ticket hadn't vanished. Someone had taken it. And that someone lived with me, had shared my table, my sleepless nights over sick children, my last few dollars to pay the light bill. My daughter. I didn't need proof to know it. I felt it in my bones, like you know a storm is coming even when the sky is clear. The way she avoided my gaze, her sudden urgency to leave, her silence when I mentioned the winning number, it all pointed to the same thing. But feeling isn't enough. You have to prove it. I poured myself a cup of chamomile tea, as I did every night. I sat at the same kitchen table where I balanced the monthly budget and started making a list. Day of purchase, location, time, witnesses. I felt like a detective in a crime novel, But this wasn't just about money. It was about the truth. It was about what she had stolen from me, my dignity. The next day, I received the call from the convenience store manager. "Mrs. Vance, we have the video. It clearly shows you buying the ticket and putting it in your purse." My soul trembled. "Can I get a copy?" "Yes, of course. We can put it on a USB drive for you." I didn't hang up before asking one more thing. "Do you have the register receipt from that day?" He paused. "We got lucky. The system still has the records. It shows your purchase, tea, bread, and one lottery ticket. Exactly at 4:27 p.m. I hung up with sweaty palms. I took a deep breath. I walked over to the small altar I keep in the living room, where I have a locket with a picture of my mother. "Help me be strong, Mom," I whispered. And, for the first time in a long time, I felt I wasn't alone. I knew my daughter had already started moving the money. I saw it on her social media: designer clothes, elegant dinners, and a new wine-colored car with a panoramic roof. But what hurt the most was seeing her post a venomous message: "finally free from emotional parasites. Luck favors the brave." There was no longer any doubt. She was pointing a finger at me with words that needed no name. And what other option did I have? Stay silent as I had so many times before, or do what I had to do? I went to see a lawyer. I brought the receipt, the USB drive, and screenshots of her posts. He listened to me calmly. When I finished, he said something I'll never forget. "Ma'am, this isn't just theft. This is economic identity usurpation. You have everything you need to prove that this prize is yours." I left his office walking taller, as if years had been lifted from my shoulders. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to make a scene. But when the truth came out, she would have to look me in the eye and face what she had done. Because, even if she didn't know it yet, that fortune was not hers. And it never was. In the following days, I watched her transform as if possessed by another person. She stopped speaking to me, even by text. She no longer asked if I needed anything or if I had food in the house. But on her social media, she lived another life. Dinners with wine, brunches with friends who previously wouldn't have given her the time of day, and that phony language of those desperate to impress. Here, manifesting abundance. When you release negativity, everything flows. Negativity. That's what she called me now. Me, who took care of her children when she cried over her first divorce. Me, who sold my rings to help her pay the tuition for that degree she never finished. I was the shadow she now erased from her photos with filters and poses. I didn't confront her. I didn't call her. I just observed. Because sometimes, silence is the most powerful weapon. My neighbors would ask if I had gone on a trip. "We don't see you with the children anymore," they'd say. I would smile, pretending everything was fine. I became an expert at lying with my eyes. But inside, I was preparing. The lawyer had already initiated the process. The lottery commission was cooperating. They verified the purchase video, the receipt, and froze the entire payout. No one could move a cent until the investigation was resolved. And she, so sure of her victory, didn't even suspect a thing. One day, my eldest grandson texted me, "Grandma, why don't you come over anymore?" My heart tightened. I wanted to tell him the truth, but no. It wasn't time yet. I replied with a smiley face and a "very soon, my love," because they were not to blame. I spent my afternoons in silence, organizing papers, creating folders, documenting everything. I became a detective of my own life. And all the while, my daughter sank deeper into her lie, believing herself untouchable. One Sunday, she posted a photo on the beach with a caption that turned my stomach: "Those who doubted me now watch from below, from below." I had raised her never to believe in above or below, but in walking beside others. But now that she thought she was rich, she forgot everything. What other option did I have? I put on my cleanest sweater, took my old leather bag, and went back to the lawyer. He handed me an envelope with important documents: the confirmation of the payment suspension, the lottery investigator's report, and an invitation to a press conference to announce the official result. The envelope was heavy, not because of the papers, but because of what it represented. That same day, I bought a new dress. Not an expensive one, but one that made me feel dignified. I combed my hair, put on perfume, because that version of me that she had buried, the firm, silent woman, was back. She believed the world belonged to her, but she forgot to check the name written on that magic piece of paper. And that, my love, was her sentence. I woke up early, as always. I prepared my chamomile tea, stirred it twice with a small spoon, and sat at the neatly set table. That simple ritual always helped me think. As the steam caressed my face, I reviewed every document from the envelope the lawyer had given me. Everything was in order. I had it all: the date of purchase, the recording, the receipt, even a signed copy of the lottery technician's report confirming that the original claim did not match the purchaser's identity. That ticket, according to all records, was mine. And yet, I didn't celebrate. I didn't jump for joy or scream. I just sat there, feeling a strange mixture of justice and pain. Because a mother never dreams of taking revenge on her daughter, but neither can she allow herself to be trampled. She, meanwhile, continued her celebration on social media, at dinners, in the house she had bought before the money was actually in her hands, investing in real estate, she claimed. I knew it was all on credit, advanced by banks who believed her winner's story. They didn't know that story was about to collapse like a house of cards. One Friday, she posted a photo with a glass in her hand and the caption, "When you let go of those who only hold you back, the universe rewards you." Her friends congratulated her. One even wrote, "I always knew you were a star. So glad you cut off that old energy." Old energy. That's how she saw me. That's when I knew there was no turning back. I called my lawyer. "I'm ready for the press conference," I said. "I don't want flowers or cameras in my face. I just want the world to know the truth. That I am no thief. That the ticket was mine from the beginning." He handled everything with discretion. He coordinated with the lottery, sent out the press releases, and organized a small but dignified room. I didn't invite anyone. I didn't want a spectacle, only justice. But inside, I did feel something else. A strength I hadn't remembered in years. Like when I had to raise her alone, without help. Like when I worked double shifts to pay for her first car. That strength that comes from knowing that, even if they underestimate you, you know exactly who you are. My daughter still knew nothing. One evening, while I was having dinner at the hotel where I was temporarily staying, I saw her on the restaurant's television. The city's new millionaire is revolutionizing social media. She was speaking with a firm voice, with an air of grandeur she never had before. "This prize changed my life," she said. "Now I can take care of my own with more freedom." Take care of her own. How ironic. I looked down, took a sip of my tea, and went back to my room. Because I knew that in a few days, that image she had fabricated would crumble. Not because I wanted to destroy her, no. But because the truth, when it ripens in silence, falls with the weight of dignity. And that's a fall that not even money can cushion. I didn't have to wait long to see her true face, the one she no longer bothered to hide, even from strangers. One morning, I received a screenshot via WhatsApp. It was from one of her Facebook posts. The photo showed her on the staircase of her new mansion, surrounded by designer shopping bags. The text, "This is what freedom looks like after you drop the baggage." The comments below were even worse. A friend wrote, "So glad you got rid of that lady." And my daughter replied with a smiling emoji and 3 words, "Useless old witch. Useless old witch." I stared at those words for several minutes. They didn't hurt as one might expect. What hurt was the audacity. That she would say it without fear, without shame, without even trying to hide it. And that, instead of breaking me, gave me more strength. Did she really think I would stay quiet while she spat on me in public after everything I had done for her? I didn't reply. I didn't post anything. But I went straight to the lawyer with the evidence. "This is public defamation," I said. He nodded. "And it's also useful for the other matter. It shows malice, contempt, and zero intention of sharing the prize." It reinforces her intent to defraud. Meanwhile, she continued celebrating as if nothing had happened. She gave interviews, published inspirational quotes, and even recorded a video with an instrumental background track, claiming she had broken cycles of generational abuse. And people applauded. How little they knew. All the while, I saved every word, every video, every post. My electronic folders were more organized than her empty speeches. And then, the key day arrived. The Lottery Commission notified me. They had concluded the investigation. The verdict was clear. The ticket was purchased by me. Everything matched. The records, the recording, the time, the ticket, the identity. They scheduled a press conference to make the official announcement of the true winner. My name would be at the microphone. Hers would be in silence. "Do you want to inform her yourself?" my lawyer asked. I laughed without humor. Why? Let her find out live, just like I found out about her betrayal. The night before the conference, I slept little. Not from nerves. It was a mixture of sadness and resolution. I prepared the dress I had bought especially for that moment. It wasn't ostentatious, but it had an elegant, classic cut that made me feel whole. I looked at my reflection before leaving. I didn't see a victim. I saw a firm, complete woman with her head held high. That day, while she was posting another selfie saying, "Off to a spa session," I was walking toward the lottery building with my documents under my arm and a clear conscience. I had no bodyguards, no personal press, no dark sunglasses. I only carried something she had lost long ago, the truth. While she was still posting cheap quotes about closing cycles and letting go of what doesn't serve you, I was signing papers in the lawyer's office. Each signature was like another brick in the wall I had built between her lie and my truth. I didn't feel rage. I felt peace. A strange peace, yes, but a deep one, like when you stop swimming against the current and let yourself be carried by the certainty that you did the right thing. She didn't know it yet, but the stage where she was posturing as a queen was already crumbling. That week was key. They called me to confirm details for the press conference: time, place, media presence. They wanted to know if I wanted to make a statement. I said yes, but not a speech, just a few words. I didn't need to convince anyone, only confirm what was mine. My lawyer congratulated me. "Your composure has been admirable. Most people in your position would be screaming to the world what happened." I just nodded. It wasn't pride, it was exhaustion. At my age, you learn that noise only serves to distract. Strength lies in silence. Meanwhile, my daughter seemed more confident than ever. She even organized a celebratory dinner with close friends and a cake with the phrase, "God blessed me for setting myself free." One of her guests posted a story saying, "Here with the richest, freest, and most awakened." But what no one knew was that at that very moment, her prize was still frozen. Not a single cent had been released. And that was my small, secret victory. I had learned not to shout, not to give explanations to those who didn't ask for them with love. And that lesson had brought me here. The lawyer handed me a copy of the final report, already signed by all the necessary authorities. It was official, legal, irrefutable. The lottery recognized me as the legitimate buyer. And she was nothing more than an imposter who had tried to take advantage of the most sacred bond, the one between a mother and a daughter. I put the document in a leather folder and tucked it into my purse. That old purse I had used for years and that she had so often despised. "It makes you look poor," she used to say. But now, that purse carried my clean name, my intact dignity, and 10 million reasons to keep walking with my head held high. At home, I prepared a simple stew. I kneaded bread with my own hands. Not out of necessity, but out of habit. Because despite everything, that's who I was. Not a social media millionaire. A real woman with history, with scars, with fire. And as the bread browned in the oven, I looked out the window and told myself something I never thought I would say: I'm ready. Let come what may. I received the call on a Monday morning while I was hanging clean sheets in the yard. "Mrs. Vance," said the voice of the lottery official, "we want to congratulate you. The review has concluded. You are the legitimate owner of the winning ticket." I sat down on the bench next to the washing machine, the sheet still in my hands. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat in silence, as if I needed the earth to spin one more time to understand what they had just told me. "And what happens now?" I asked. "There is a press conference this Thursday. The result will be officially announced, and of course, you will be presented as the true winner. After that, you can decide whether you wish to receive the money as a lump sum or in annuities." I hung up the phone with trembling hands. I leaned against the wall of the laundry room, my gaze fixed on the floor. For years, I had dreamed of a moment like this, and now that it was here, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like justice, like balance. That same day, I went to the bank. I opened a special, protected account advised by experts. I requested that everything be discreet. I didn't want luxuries or scandals or magazine covers. Only security, tranquility, control. My lawyer accompanied me every step of the way, explaining the taxes, the deadlines, the decisions. I listened attentively, but deep down, I was thinking about something else. "What will you do when you find out that everything you built with my ticket was a lie?" She was still so confident. That day, she posted another quote, "Asterisk those who don't add, subtract. Sometimes, to win, you have to cut the root. Asterisk the root." That's what she called me, as if I were a weed she needed to pull out. Me, who had been the trunk that supported her life when everything else was shaking. I didn't respond. But that night, as I closed the curtains, I made a list. A small list of simple things. A house with a view of a lake. A big kitchen for baking with my grandchildren, if they ever allow me to. A garden with lavender. No jets or gold watches. Just things that would make me feel at home. Finally, at peace. My talisman, that locket with my mother's photo, I took it with me to the bank. I squeezed it tightly as I signed the documents. Because even though no one could see it, she was there with me. She had also been a mother. She had also been betrayed. She had also stayed silent for too long. And now, after so many quiet battles, I finally felt that a woman like me could also win. But not with screams, not with humiliation. With signed papers, hard evidence, and a calm that came from having given everything and still remaining on my feet. The night before the press conference, I didn't sleep. Not from nerves, but from memory. I sat by the window, the blanket woven by my mother over my legs, and let the memories come on their own. I saw her again, small, with her messy braids and mismatched socks, running toward me with a drawing in her hands. "You're my hero, Mommy," it said in crooked letters. I had stuck it to the refrigerator door with the same magnet where I later hung the ticket. I thought of all the times I hid my own pain so as not to worry her. Of how I sold my wedding ring when she got sick and needed medicine that insurance wouldn't cover. Of how I never said I was hungry when I served her the larger portion from the plate. I thought of how I taught her multiplication with pebbles when we couldn't afford notebooks, and how she promised me, more than once, "When I grow up, I'm going to take care of you, Mom. You just wait." And I waited. I waited for years, for decades. And now she called me a witch. What other option did I have? Look the other way? Let her believe that you can trample on the one who gave you life and get away unscathed? No. This betrayal wasn't just financial. It was moral. It was the final cut to a mother who had already bled too much for love. The truth is, for a moment, I hesitated. I wondered if I should just let it go. I thought of my grandchildren, of the scandal, of the hatred that could grow between us like an untamable weed. But then I remembered that other night. The night of the screaming, the suitcase on the curb, the rain soaking me while she told me, "You will not see a cent of my money." My money! She said it as if she had earned it cleanly, as if she had sown, watered, and harvested it herself. And I, the one who bought it, the one who dreamed for a moment of a dignified life, was now a usurper in her mind. That's when I understood. It wasn't just for me. It was for all the mothers who have been treated like servants with the last name. For all the older women discarded as annoying when they no longer produce. For all those who have been called a burden, a witch, crazy, when all they did was love. So I took my locket, opened it, and whispered to my mother's photo, "Mom, my voice will not tremble. Not this time." And that was my prayer. I didn't ask for revenge. I asked for strength. Because the next day, it wouldn't be a broken woman speaking. It would be a woman who had gotten back up. There were no invitations. I didn't send out notices. I didn't warn anyone. I just confirmed the date and time with the lottery office and made sure to arrive 20 minutes early, with my old purse in one hand and the locket in the other, like a shield and a witness. The event was to be simple, sober, without sensationalist press or tabloid cameras. Only official media, the lottery organizers, legal representatives, and me. It wasn't going to be a gala or a show. It was justice. And justice doesn't need applause. My lawyer winked at me as I entered. "Everything changes today," he murmured. I nodded without smiling. As they adjusted the microphone and checked the papers, I thought of her. Where would she be right now? Perhaps sipping a latte in some expensive cafe, trying on clothes she hadn't even finished paying for, bragging to her friends about a fortune that no longer belonged to her. I didn't know, nor did I care. Because in that moment, as the technicians prepared the audio and lights, I had something she never had: support, evidence, and a clean name. The room wasn't full, but there were enough people to make a record. I sat in the front row, the official report on my lap. I felt a tingling in my stomach, not from nerves, but from a calm that comes when you know nothing can harm you anymore. Suddenly, the presenter took the microphone. He thanked the attendees, explained the verification process, spoke of protocols, and finally, pronounced my name. The true winner of the grand prize is Mrs. Eleanor Vance. There was no fanfare. No fireworks. There was silence. A heavy silence, like the one that falls after a gunshot. I took the microphone. I hadn't written a speech. I just spoke from the heart. "Thank you for being here. I didn't come to claim money. I came to reclaim my name. I bought that ticket one ordinary afternoon after picking up bread. I stuck it on the refrigerator of the house where I lived with my daughter. Days later, without a word, she took it and told the world it was hers. I took a deep breath. I saw the reporters taking notes. Her betrayal hurt me more than the loss of the money. But today, with these documents, I prove that mothers know how to defend themselves too. Not with screams or insults. With evidence. With dignity. I placed the microphone on the table, stood up, and returned to my seat. My lawyer patted my shoulder. "You did it," he said. In my purse, my phone vibrated. Messages, calls. Some from familiar numbers, others not. And among them, one name. Hers. I didn't answer. Because while she still didn't understand what had just happened, I had already crossed the line back to myself. The video was broadcast live from the lottery's official website. It wasn't a trending topic, but a few thousand views were enough for the news to spread like wildfire. Elderly woman identified as the true winner of the $10 million prize. Daughter had attempted to claim it in her place. They didn't need to use names. People connected the dots quickly, especially those who followed my daughter on social media. The posts, the photos, the comments, everything pointed to her. And now, everything was turning against her. I was at home when it all exploded. I didn't turn on the television. I just heated up some soup and sat in the kitchen, watching the steam rise from the pot. My phone was vibrating nonstop. I didn't answer. I just watched the messages flood in, one after another, until a call came from her. I didn't pick up. It rang again. And again. Finally, I turned it off. But it wasn't long before a message arrived. A voicemail. I listened. Her voice was different. She was screaming, crying. "What did you do, Mom? You ruined everything. How dare you? This is my life, my name is everywhere. You can't do this to me." I turned it off halfway through the tantrum. Not because it hurt, but because it no longer affected me. That wasn't my daughter. Not the one I raised. That was someone else, someone who had let herself be corrupted by a piece of paper, forgetting everything we once said we were. I looked again at the locket on my neck. My mother's photo was still there, calm, serene. I stroked my chest with my palm, as if searching for strength. But I didn't need it anymore. I had it. The story was replicated on morning shows, on internet pages, even on gossip forums. The mother who recovered her fortune with evidence. Some called me the silent mother, others the refrigerator avenger. It didn't matter to me. But what did make me laugh, albeit a bitter laugh, was seeing how many of those who had previously applauded my daughter in the comments were now deleting their posts or criticizing her. I never liked her attitude, one wrote. She seemed fake, said another. How quickly the wind changes when it smells a scandal. And while she was trying to delete posts and silence critics, I was receiving calls from media outlets, magazines, even proposals to tell my story on television. I rejected them all. Because I didn't need fame. All I ever wanted was to get back what was mine. And now I had it. I didn't scream. I didn't hit. I didn't threaten. I just did what is rarely expected of a woman my age. I spoke my truth and didn't move an inch when they tried to cover it up. That day, while everyone was talking about the news, I did something very simple. I went to the market, bought fresh bread, tomatoes, a little basil, and went back home. Peace doesn't make a sound. It's just felt. And finally, after so many years, I felt it. It didn't even take 24 hours after the press conference for her to call again. This time, I answered. Not because I wanted to hear her, but because I knew I needed to close the cycle with my own voice. You stole it from me, she screamed without a greeting. That was mine. You did nothing but get lucky. I was the one who was turning it into something big. I remained silent, listening to every word as if I were observing her from a great distance. It no longer hurt. It just sounded empty, like an echo bouncing off the walls of an abandoned house. When she finally paused for breath, I spoke. I bought it. I stuck it on the refrigerator. And you took it. In silence. You said nothing to me. You didn't share a single crumb. And now you come to me saying it's yours. You don't understand. I had plans. A new life. You were just going to waste it. I smiled. Not a smile of mockery, but of pure exhaustion. My love, there is no greater waste than betrayal. And you threw away something far more valuable than money. A tense silence fell on the other end. Then, in a lower, more venomous voice, she said, "You know what? You're going to be alone. You can have the money, but no one will ever love you. Your grandchildren will grow up hating you. You're going to die in a cold bed, surrounded by bills but no hugs." I took a deep breath. I unclasped the locket from my neck, placed it on the table, and looked at it as I spoke. I've already been alone, Chloe. I was alone when you threw me out on the street, when you took what was mine without asking, when you called me a witch in public. And yet, here I am, at peace. She tried to argue, but I didn't give her the space. And just so you know, I've already donated half of the prize to shelters for single mothers. For those who don't throw their own mothers out on the street when they're no longer useful. She was speechless. Does that seem cruel to you? It's not. What you did was cruel. What I did is justice. I hung up before she could reply. Not out of revenge, but for my own dignity. Because I understood that not all battles are won with confrontation. Some are won simply by refusing to keep spinning in the same toxic circle. That afternoon, my lawyer confirmed that her main bank account had been frozen on suspicion of fraud in the prize claim. Everything she had purchased in the name of her new life was under review. Cars, furniture, properties. Nothing was truly in her name. It was all slipping through her fingers. And I didn't do anything more. I didn't sign additional complaints. I didn't seek punishment. I just let the system run its course. Because there is no worse blow to a thief than watching the victim recover everything without ever raising their voice. And that's what I did. While she screamed, I simply said goodbye. What followed was swift, faster than I could have imagined. As soon as it was officially announced that I was the true winner, the banks that had extended her credit started calling. It didn't take them long to discover she had used ambiguous documentation to secure advance loans. Within weeks, all her accounts were frozen. Everything she had bought began to crumble like a sandcastle. The luxury car was repossessed. The mansion went into foreclosure proceedings. The credit cards were blocked. And her friends, they disappeared like leaves in the wind. The same ones who had commented with hearts on her posts now ignored her. Some even shared her story on social media as if they were innocent spectators in a play they had never been a part of. The last post she left on her account was an old, unfiltered photo with the children. No caption. Just silence. I said nothing. I didn't post about my victory. I didn't mock her. Because I didn't feel triumph. I felt justice, yes, but also an old sadness, the kind that settles deep in your bones. Because no mother dreams of seeing her daughter fall, but no mother dreams that her daughter will be the one to push her into the abyss first. I received calls from acquaintances, from distant cousins I hadn't seen in years. Everyone wanted to know how I was doing. Some with a curious tone, others with a guilty one. I responded with courtesy, nothing more. The circle around me had become smaller, yes, but much cleaner. The lawyer informed me that the fraud investigation was moving forward. If we wanted, we could take her to trial for attempted usurpation. We can demand damages, Mrs. Vance, he told me. But I just shook my head. I don't need another cent, I replied. What she owed me wasn't money. It was respect. And I've already gotten that back. That day, I cooked for myself. A simple rice and lentil dish like in the old days. I put on some old music and swept the living room to the rhythm of the chords. The sun streamed through the window like an old friend. I didn't need anything more. I learned, tried to talk to some magazines, wanting to clear her name. But no one wanted to touch the story. She was no longer a desirable face. She was a forgotten scandal. And I, far from the noise, began to look at houses near a lake. With a large kitchen, big windows, and space to plant lavender. Nothing ostentatious. Just mine. Her world had collapsed, and mine, at last, was beginning to bloom. She knocked on the door on a gray afternoon without warning. I recognized her by the way she knocked, a hurried, sharp, as if time owed her something. I didn't run. I didn't rush. I walked calmly to the entrance, like someone who has seen every storm and knows that none of them last forever. There she was. My daughter. Disheveled, without makeup, wearing a borrowed jacket. Nothing remained of the brilliant woman from Instagram, the queen of motivational quotes. She looked at me with red eyes, not of sadness, but of anger. Are you happy now? She spat. Is this what you wanted? To see me ruined? To see me humiliated? I leaned against the doorframe. I looked at her with the same tenderness with which I once tucked her in on feverish nights, and with the same firmness with which I taught her to say, thank you, and I'm sorry. I didn't come to ask for anything, she continued. I just wanted you to face me, because you took everything from me. I shook my head slowly. You lost it all by yourself. What belongs to me, I recovered. Without lying, without stealing, without screaming. She scowled. You were my mother. You should have protected me, not destroyed me. There, I finally saw the bottom of it. There was no remorse, no self-criticism. Just the same wounded ego that had led her to steal my ticket without even leaving me a glass of water. I was your mother, I told her. And as a mother, I gave everything. But being a mother is not being a slave. It's not allowing you to trample on me just because you forgot who raised you. She was speechless for a second, not from understanding, but from frustration. I thought you would understand, she murmured. That you would do it for the children. The children. They were the ones who hurt. Not seeing them, not hugging them, not hearing them laugh around the house. But they were not hostages to force me to give up my dignity. Don't use your children as an excuse. They deserve an honest mother, not one who steals and then blames everyone but herself. Tears streamed down her face, but they were tears of impotence, not pain. I have nowhere to go. I didn't move. I have nothing. The truth is, she did have something. She had the same starting point I had once had. And like me, she could choose whether to rebuild or to keep looking for someone to blame. I took a breath, clutched the locket at my neck, and said a single word. Goodbye. I closed the door calmly. Not with anger, not with pride. With peace. Because I understood that some doors must be closed forever. Not because you hate who is on the other side, but because you love yourself enough not to let them in again with the same old screams. She left. And I, finally, was alone. But this time I was alone in freedom.